Okay. Maybe photographers don't need the OnePlus Open or foldables in general, but let me tell you why you should consider one. Hint, it's not just about the cameras. Let's get into it. Now, like most people, you're probably already asking the question, what's so good about foldable phones? Aren't they just overpriced smartphones? Well, first off, let me tell you, they're amazing smartphones, but I do admit they're a little pricey. At the time of this recording, the OnePlus Open is sitting at $1,700, but you do have the option to get $200 or more off if you trade in an eligible device for it. Even at that $1,700 price point, you're not really just getting one device, but rather a Swiss Army knife of devices. You're getting a very capable smartphone, you're getting a mini tablet, you're getting a more than capable camera, more on that later, but you're also getting things like a remote control to control multiple devices, and even a field monitor for your dedicated cameras. Now for me, and maybe even for you, the OnePlus Open slots in nicely to a photographer's workflow. Let me tell you how. Now, one big benefit to foldables in general is just the sheer level of multitasking capabilities that are unlocked once you unfold that big, beautiful screen. Now, for the OnePlus Open specifically, it has a 7.9-inch screen just underneath an iPad mini at 8.3 inches, but paired with the software on the Android platform, it really opens up a lot of multitasking features. For instance, through the Open Canvas feature on the OnePlus Open, I can have up to 3 apps open at once, either side by side or have 2 side by side and then 1 fully expanded. And what this allows me to do is have my 3 apps up. You could use it for things like social media, like if you want to have Threads, Instagram, and X up at the same time. Yeah, sure, you could do that. But for me as a photographer, I'm more so looking at things like Behance, Pinterest, Shot Deck, FrameSet, and also having my note-taking app open so that I can really gather inspiration, collect inspiration, or even plan photo shoots. Even if I don't want to use 2 apps up side by side, the OnePlus Open does have a lot of nice productivity features that allow me to quickly gather and collect inspiration, share it or save it to my notes, and really help me prepare. So the OnePlus Open has been super integral in helping me to get organized and really plan for photo shoots. Which brings me to my next point. Shooting with the camera on the OnePlus Open. Now, I fully want to realize that if you're a photographer watching this video, chances are you already have a dedicated camera or 2 or 3. But if you're looking for something more minimal, more of an EDC type camera, I think the OnePlus Open is a really good option. Yes, the Ricoh GR3 does kind of satisfy that same requirement, but I think that if you're walking around, if you're going to go out and about with just one device, it's typically going to be your smartphone. And I think the OnePlus Open is a super versatile, capable camera for just your everyday needs. I do think it provides a lot of versatility for you. It has multiple focal lengths, everything from your ultra wide to your regular wide to your zoom. You can actually zoom up to 6x optically before having to invoke digital zoom. What that does is it gives you a lot of versatility for things like environmental, street photography, and just kind of documenting the everyday. What I also like is that, OnePlus has a lot of different shooting modes. And so, like I mentioned, I mainly stick to like the photo mode, the pro mode, now rebranded to master mode with the recent update, and the high res mode. It also has things like portrait mode, it has your night mode for your low light shots, and it even has the X-Pan mode, which was, part of that Hasselblad DNA. But all that comes down to is that the OnePlus Open, it's really flexible. It gives you a lot of good options just to experiment with and to, be creative with your shots. Now, speaking of shots, let's talk about image quality a little bit. Now, me personally, I think the image quality of the OnePlus Open is really nice. In my opinion, the look of the photos really start to lean more towards that point and shoot look versus the smartphone look. And what I mean by that is the processing of the OnePlus Open. It's definitely less aggressive with the over sharpening in HDR, though it is still present. But I think that partnership with Hasselblad really affected how they tweaked their algorithms in order to make the photos look more natural, more true to life, and then also a little stylistic. So I think you kind of have the best of both worlds with the OnePlus Open. You can either do your everyday snaps, take the phone out of your pocket, do a quick snap just to document things, or if you want to get a little bit more artistic with it, you can do that as well with things like their built-in looks that kind of serve like film simulations. They're not as good, but you know, they're serviceable with a little bit of tweaking. And the good thing about OnePlus's looks, you can either apply it while you're shooting, or if you want to go back and edit on the OnePlus Open, you can apply those looks in post-processing as well. Additionally, you can really affect how you want the image to look in the Pro mode, where you can, if you're editing JPEGs, you can really go ahead and tweak the algorithm a bit, because it lets you tweak things like saturation, sharpening, things like vignetting. It really lets you go in and mess with that. But you also have the option to shoot RAW as well. And when you shoot RAW, you don't really have to worry about the processing as much. That, you know, a lot of the computational photography stuff, you don't have to worry about that because you're shooting RAW. And basically, those are your usual suspects as far as affecting the image, where you can tweak the white balance, you can tweak the ISO, you can play around with your shutter speed, and just all of the typical things you would see with just shooting RAW photos in a camera. Now, lastly, about the cameras on the OnePlus Open, low light photography. If you're shooting in the regular mode, I think a little bit more processing kicks in for those nighttime shots, because it is incorporating the added light, really trying to make sure it's brightening up things. So you kind of have to do a little bit more metering in night mode. So say if you wanted to focus on a sign, you have to meter for that sign in order to kind of bring the brightness down in order to capture it. If you just want to capture a scene, you don't really have to do as much metering, but just know that some of your signage will get blown out in night mode if you have a good enough contrast with you know, nighttime plus bright signs or bright lights. Also, using the Pro mode and shooting RAW photos at nighttime, it's really good for you know, if you want to really dial in those settings. So, you know, I definitely think the OnePlus Open at night, it's good, but I will admit that if you have a dedicated camera, that's probably better for your nighttime shots. Now, the OnePlus Open is a great camera, but I should also tell you about how it works with other cameras. So in addition to the OnePlus Open having a really good photography camera, it also has a really big advantage in the sense that it has that nice big foldable screen, and it connects to all my other cameras. So my Sony cameras, my Ricoh camera, my Insta360 Ace Pro, they all have mobile apps that can connect to my OnePlus Open seamlessly. The connectivity is really good. It's really fast, just working with my phone and my cameras. I'm able to transfer photos, especially like off of my Ricoh GR3, in order to quickly get the photos from the camera to my phone to post to social media. Or if I want to open up Lightroom, if I want to open up Snapseed, make some quick little tweaks to the photos, and then send them off to social media, I can do that as well. Now with my Insta360 Ace Pro, that's my main POV camera. What I do with that is I mainly get those POV videos off of the Insta360 and onto my phone. And I could even crop them because of the Insta360's free frame video. I could crop them to be mobile aspect ratio. I can crop them to be more traditional horizontal aspect ratio, 16:9, or I can do it more open where it's like 4:3, it can be a square. And so I can do all of that editing from the mobile app on my OnePlus Open, and it works really well. It stays connected really well, and I just really enjoy being able to have that quick workflow where I don't have to bring a laptop, I can be on the go, I don't have to come back home to get on my desktop, and I can just kind of get that content off. But in addition to it, being able to transfer content and get content from the cameras to the phone, what my OnePlus Open can also do when it connects to my cameras is it can be a remote shutter. And so I can use it essentially as its own little field monitor. Even right now with my Sony a7S III, I'm able to connect my OnePlus Open to it, view myself, view my settings, make sure I'm looking right, make sure I'm in focus, make sure the exposure is right. And it's super useful for me just being able to monitor things and making sure that, you know, I'm getting the images I need to get while not being like super close to my cameras. And so I think the OnePlus Open in of itself, being able to connect with my cameras, having that nice big 8-inch foldable screen, you know, I think it serves well for a photographer or content creator's workflow as far as just being on the go, having a relatively light setup with not bringing a dedicated computer, and just being able to get work done. But with all that said, y'all, that's kind of the video, you know? I think the OnePlus Open is a really good creative tool for photographers and content creators. I definitely think more people should get foldables. I'm not necessarily saying you have to get the OnePlus Open. There are other foldables out there, do your research. But I just think the OnePlus Open is a really amazing foldable, works really well from our workflow, and I think it could work for some of you out there as well. If you like this video, go ahead and give this video a like. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and I will catch y'all later.